What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Happy Muns Monday. If you're new here, welcome to the Muns channel. And if you're a returning fan, viewer, or subscriber, without you, this just wouldn't be possible. Before we get into today's video, I just want to remind everyone that I have a giveaway going on from my June 2018 Loot Gaming box. I am giving away the SKYRIM apron and the Halo set of cookie cutters. So you can check out all that information in the description box below, or I will link the June unboxing video for the Loot Gaming box at the end of this video. Today I'm doing things a little bit different. As you can tell, my scenery is a little bit different. I am away from the backdrop and I'm just in my living room and just wanted to kind of match the casual conversation that I really wanted to have today. So the subject of this video is something that I have had on my heart for a while to do, and I'm just now getting around to doing that. And so I'm really excited to be able to kind of touch on this topic and be able to discuss something that's very important to me with all of you. Since 2015, I have really gone through a lot of changes and experiences as a person, from some of my worst moments to some of my best and everything in between. Throughout this process and over the last 3 years, I've had relationships with different people and have gotten to meet a lot of people, and some are in my life still, some are not, and some have returned to my life and others have left. And that's just, first of all, kind of how the way that life goes, c'est la vie. And if you are not able to accept that, you're gonna be disappointed. And regardless of what I share with you today, it's not going to fix some of the problems that are just left up to life. Today, I wanna talk about how to be a better friend, because let's be honest, if you ever get to the place where you think you're done improving or that you can't improve yourself, that is where you're starting to get into the territory of pride. I am the first to admit that I can always improve, I can always be better. I'm never perfect, and I never want to be perfect because that job is reserved for Jesus. So I just wanted to give a couple quick tips on what I've learned, and hopefully they'll be able to help you on how to be a better friend in your own relationships. Number one, set expectations. I think this is something that is often given just to romantic relationships, and it's not given enough attention in platonic relationships. So what do I mean by setting expectations? It is so important to communicate with your friend what you expect of them. And there are many different realms of expectations and what might be important to you and what you need to discuss with your friend. For example, if you're someone that needs to see your friend every week and make plans every week, you need to let them know that, because you're gonna be ultimately disappointed if they're not the same way. Or if you're the kind of friend that is a gift giver and loves to give gifts and expect that maybe it's returned from time to time, you need to put that out there as well, because if not, you're gonna be very disappointed if your friend is not the same way. Last week on my Instagram, I put out a poll asking people how often they talk to the people that are closest to them. One option was every day, and the other option was a few days a week. Of everyone that voted, 67% said every day, and the other 33% said a few days a week. So why is this an important thing? Because if you are an everyday person that needs to communicate or hear from or talk to your friend in any form or fashion, whether that be all day communication, a few times a day communication, whether that means you talk one time a day, you're just checking in, whatever, you talk to them and you desire to talk to them every single day. If you are friends with a few days kind of person, you are going to be disappointed, and vice versa. The few days people, it is not that they care any less or that they don't love you any less than you do as an everyday person. It's simply that they don't need to communicate with you every day in order to define their friendship with you. They love you just as much, they care about you just as much, but they also recognize that life gets busy, things go on, everybody's got things that they're doing, and ultimately they only need to check in a few times in order to stay in touch. Whereas an everyday person, it is very important to them in order to feel affirmed in a relationship to communicate with the people that are closest to them on an everyday basis. And that's truly why it's extremely important to communicate that and to explain that from the get-go. To say, hey, it is really important to me. I love to text, I love to Snapchat, I love to talk on Instagram every day. I love to check in on you and have those conversations. And if you're a few days kind of person, you need to be able to say, you know, that is a little bit too much for me. I'm not gonna be able to do that, and I don't wanna disappoint you and I don't wanna hurt your feelings. And if you're an everyday person, you have the responsibility of recognizing that that has to not be an issue for you. And you also have to understand as a few days person that that everyday person is going to need a little bit of time to get used to not talking to you every day and not hearing from you every day. It could cause a lot of issues if it's not addressed. And I feel like this is one of the biggest problems in friendships, is that there are two kinds of people, everyday people and few days people, that are friends, which obviously it works to be friends, but this is what causes hurt feelings, not feeling appreciated, not feeling affirmed, not having confidence in the relationship, not trusting the relationship. And so these things need to be outlined from the get-go to say, this is what's important to me, this is how I communicate, this is how I receive information, and I would need you to know this. Number 2 is honesty. This seems like a cliche, no-brainer tip, but you'd be surprised. To me, honesty speaks when nobody else will. A true friend will tell you what nobody else wants to tell you. A true friend will speak truth even when there are feelings in the mix. A true friend ultimately sees what's best for you and desires to be the best of friends. My friends know that I am an extremely honest person, and I tell things the way that they are, and sometimes feelings are put aside in order to get truth spoken. Yes, it hurts immediately. Yes, it hurts for a few moments and minutes, and I might hurt your feelings, but at the end of the day, I have heard from almost every friend in my circle that I was the only person in their life that ever spoke that truth to them. And so, I would rather forego having hurt feelings for a little while to ultimately plant the truth, because you know where you stand with me, and you know I'm not going to be talking behind you behind your back, because I'm not two-faced. There are many people who have problems dealing with their problems. Another poll that I put on my Instagram is asking people how they deal with an issue. One option is to ignore or avoid the issue, and the other is to address the issue immediately. 76% of the people that voted on the poll chose that they address the issue immediately. The other 24% voted that they avoid the issue. You avoiders need to work on this. Let me tell you, when it comes to tip number 1, which is to talk every day or to talk a few days a week, there's no right or wrong answer. However you are is however you are. When it comes to this, when it comes to avoiding an issue that is going to affect your relationship or addressing the issue, you are wrong if you choose to avoid the issue. There is a time and a place to avoid the issue, and that is only ever so that you do not respond out of an emotional response. Speaking for myself, I can be a generally hot-headed person when it comes to something that makes me very upset. And so I know that if I respond to an issue or I try to resolve conflict immediately when the problem happens, it is going to be attacking the person. I'm going to be coming out of a place that is emotionally fueled. And so I need a little bit of time to step away from the issue, clear my head, and be able to logically assess the situation in order to resolve the problem without hurting my relationship with the person involved. However, everything that I have a problem with, everything that is an issue in my life, I go to the person, the source, immediately. And if I need counsel from other people, I go to them, I say, hey, so-and-so did this, how do you feel about this? Sometimes they'll say, Matt, you're making a big deal out of it. It's not a problem. You need to let it go. Boom, I let it go, and you release it from your heart. Other times they say you absolutely need to address it, and you need to go to them immediately, and that's exactly what I do. But I do not talk about the issue to other people if I'm not going to solve it. You do not have permission. You do not have the right to talk about a problem that you are not going to resolve. Let me say that again. You do not have permission to complain, talk, discuss, or gripe about an issue that you are not going to resolve yourself. If you're not going to do it, you need to release it from your heart, you need to drop it immediately, and you need to get over it because you are a problem. So avoiders, I know that it can be daunting to address people when there's something going on. I know that it can be scary to talk about conflict when you're uncomfortable and it feels awkward, but I promise you that when it's done the right way and you approach that person that you value it, because if you value someone, you'll make the time for them. I better never find out that any of you guys try to address and deal with serious conversations through text messaging. Text messaging leads to 0% resolution. You cannot understand tone, mood, emotion, facial, body language, nothing through text messaging. So when you're angry with someone, you're immediately going to filter what they're saying through an angry filter, and no resolution comes from text messaging. At worst, it should be a phone call. If you literally cannot make the time to see that person face to face and give them the respect and decency that they deserve, if it's someone that's important to your life, you should make the time to see that person and make time for that person to say, I love and respect and value you enough to sit you face to face so that you can see me and that nothing is miscommunicated between us, because I don't want there to be any wedge between us. At worst, you pick up the phone so at least they can hear your voice, at least they can hear your tone, at least they can hear your emotion. All of these things embody honesty. When you're honest with your friends, yes, it can hurt, yes, it can be uncomfortable, but ultimately these things resolve problems, resolve conflict, and are going to bring you closer in the end than you were before. As I said, this was going to be a pretty quick video, so this is my last tip, number 3, which involves admitting when you're wrong. So one of the things that is very difficult to do for a lot of people is to admit failure or to admit areas where you've missed it, where you've made a mistake. And this is something that can ultimately really bring you closer to somebody when they see and can relate that, hey, I mess up too. I know I missed it too. I didn't mean this. I didn't intend for it to be this way. I know that I hurt your feelings, whatever it may be. Be okay with admitting that you're wrong. Be humble enough to say, I made a mistake and I ask for your forgiveness. I want to preface something that kind of goes with resolving conflict and honesty. 99% of the time, the person who offends you doesn't realize that they've offended you. So if you have been hurt or offended by someone, it is your responsibility to let that person know, hey, when you said this or when you did this, it hurt my feelings. If you're waiting for that person to come to you and recognize that, hey, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings when I did this, it's almost guaranteed that it's never going to happen. This is something I see very frequently in friendships that causes rifts, is that people wait for the person that hurt their feelings to come to them and to say, well, they know what they did. No, they didn't know what they did oftentimes, and they don't know that they said something wrong, or that they didn't speak to you in a way that you thought they should have, or they didn't make plans with you, or they left you out of plans and that hurt you. They don't realize that most of the time. And so you have to take responsibility to say, yeah, hey, this really bothered me when you did this. And when people come to you, whether you agree that they should have had their feelings hurt or not, you cannot argue that you hurt someone's feelings. If you hurt someone's feelings, apologize for hurting their feelings, and then you can explain that you didn't intend for it to be that way. And then if you really were in the wrong, admit that you were wrong. It is totally okay. Put your pride aside to say, I'm really sorry that I did this and I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Please forgive me. Boom, done. And if it's a true friend, you're gonna be able to move past it and it's not gonna be a big deal, and you're gonna end up being closer together. Well guys, this is the second time that I've ever done a how-to video with tips about a certain subject. I really enjoy these kinds of videos. This was a shorter one, and there's a lot more things that I have on my heart that I could have discussed with this subject. If this is something that you'd like to see a part 2, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave it in the comment section below. What are your experiences with friendships? What stood out to you about this video? And what are you going to apply in the friendships that you have in your life? For videos like this and more, subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Monday for Matt Muns Monday, and sometimes I post videos throughout the week. If you want to know when I do, make sure to hit that bell icon down below next to the subscribe button so that YouTube will let you know when I upload a brand new video. I am praying for you guys and hoping that your relationships become even stronger through these 3 tips, and that you will have the confidence and the boldness to take care of everything that needs to, because true love does hurt sometimes, but in the end, true love has your best interests at heart. So if you have friends that really mean something to you, that you really value, you deserve to be honest with them, you deserve to admit when you're wrong, and you definitely deserve to set expectations so that they know what you expect from them. So until next time, guys, I love y'all, and I will see you really, really soon.